Good morning. This is Dr. Bhakti Nathu from the Department of English. Today we are going to see a lesson which is very interesting, which is very motivating. This is from the unit Gender Equity, and the name of the lesson is APRO JRD. Now, this is authored by Sudha Murthy. Now, let's see how the lesson proceeds. Let's see how interesting it is, and you know what, there are many things which we can really learn from it and feel motivated. So, this lesson is authored by Sudha Murthy. Sudha Murthy, a very well known personality, all of us we know about. She is a technologist, she is a philanthropist, she is a teacher, she is a writer, and she is also a social worker. Of late, she has written many books, authored many essays, she has been giving motivational speeches also. Now, APRO JRD, title of the lesson itself is, a very JRD, the name itself is very well known again. So, two personalities, Sudha Murthy and JRD. Now, who is JRD? JRD Tata, a very well known personality, all of us, we know about him. He is an Indian industrialist, former chairman of the Tata Group. Fine. So, how are these two things connected? What is exactly in the lesson about gender equity? How does Sudha Murthy actually, focuses on this aspect of gender equity? Let's understand this. Office, or a place where we work, or a place where we dedicate our work, actually, generally speaking, there are photographs of gods, whomever you feel you worship, or you really feel motivated. The photograph is hanged of a particular god or something. But very strangely, when one enters Sudha Murthy's office, okay, there are two photographs which are hung on the wall, and interestingly, they are not of any god, any particular religious person or nothing. They are photographs of two people. Okay, first one is of the gentleman who is in blue suit, Bharat Ratna Dr. Mr. JRD Tata. Bharat Ratna JRD Tata. The second one is a gentleman, is the photograph of a gentleman who is in black and white, a black and white suit, and that person is Jamshedji Tata. Now, whoever comes to Sudha Murthy's office, they have many questions. Like, everyone would be very inquisitive. Why, rather than having any god or any a particular religion, entity, deity, or kind of that, rather than having that, how come there are photographs of two people hung in her office? Are they related to her in some way or the other? People would have many questions. They would actually ask her, ma'am, are they related to you? Are they, someone distant relative to you, or what, how, and why are they there? Fine. So, then Sudha Murthy tells, invariably she has to peep into the past, and she has to, tell the person who is questioning, okay, a story which begins with her education in IISC, that is Indian Institute of Sciences. And why the story is so interesting? Because she was the only girl student doing her IISC, in masters, doing her masters in computer science in the year 1974. So whenever she has to answer the queries, she has to start from way back in 1974. Now, what does the story hold? What is it that she really feels like connected to these two photographs, and how is in totality connecting it is connecting to the gender equity? Let us understand. Okay, now Sudha Murthy, after she was into the final year of her masters, and as I mentioned earlier, she was the only woman student, the girl student in the entire batch. She really was never interested in kind of pursuing any kind of job. Rather, she wanted to do her doctorate in outside India. She wanted to complete her studies with a doctorate degree outside India. She never wanted to work or apply for a job in India. But once when she was coming back from her classes, coming back from the complex, there was a notice board on which there was a notice which was displayed. What was the notice about? It was about a job requirement. Okay, it was about a job requirement from the famous automobile company, which is which was called Telco earlier. Now it is Tata Motors. Now, what did see general job requirements? They mention what is expected out of you. So even here in this advertisement, it was mentioned. What was mentioned? It stated that the company required young, bright engineers. Okay, young, bright engineers, hardworking, and but then fine. Hardworking and with an excellent academic background. Okay, young, hardworking, excellent candidates having excellent academic background. Fine, the job requirements were very interesting, but then something which was really striking in the advertisement was, okay, but that was the highlight. That was what struck Sudha Murthy the most. It stated that the company required, okay, young bright engineers, hardworking. That is fine, but at the bottom line, this is very important. At the bottom line, it was mentioned that lady candidates need not apply. Very clearly, it stated that lady candidates need not apply. Sudha Murthy read it. She was indeed very upset because earlier till this stage of her life, in the education or in other social aspects, she never felt that kind of discrimination of being a lady, of being a girl. Now, she, as I mentioned earlier, she was never keen on working here in India. But then, when after seeing this particular advertisement, okay, she felt that it is a challenge. Why it was a challenge? Because she was very well in academics. Okay, she was whatever requirements which are mentioned here are actually in her, are actually fitting exactly what she has. Very good academic qualifications. She was the topper. She was bright. She was hardworking. Everything. But then what was more challenging was she was a lady. So and it was mentioning that lady candidates need not apply. Now, so she decided, she was very furious. She went fuming to her room and then she decided to write a letter. She decided to write a letter to the telco management, informing them about what kind of injustice is this which is happening. Okay, now she took a postcard, as it was postcards which used to be the major ways of communication, not like the emails or the WhatsApp messages or any other kind. It was the postcard, and she took the postcard and she wrote the most important letter. What she wrote, okay. What she wrote: the great Tatas have been pioneers. They are the people who started the basic infrastructure industries in India, such as iron, steel, chemicals, textiles, and locomotives. We all know this. Okay, we all know this. They have cared for higher education in India since 1900, and they were responsible for the establishment of the Indian Institute of Science. And she is the student of that. She is the student of that institute. Fortunately, that's what she mentions. Fortunately, I study here. But I'm surprised how a company such as Telco is discriminating on the basis of gender. I'm surprised. she is she is really angry about the entire thing which is mentioned at the bottom line. Now she posted the letter and she forgets about it. I mean, just because she was not really interested in any kind of job, things were went off the mind. Fine. And then one fine day, okay, maybe 10 days later, okay, less than 10 days later, okay, she receives a telegram. That was a kind of reply which through which people communicated, any job applications or any kind of messages which you really want to give. The replies or short messages used to come by telegram. She receives a telegram stating that she has to appear for an interview at telco. She felt, she was surprised at the first moment, and then she was not very sure whether she would really go for the interview, because she never intended for a job. But then she took this as a challenge, and she decided that she would go to Pune and she would appear before the panel. Everybody, all her friends and all her colleagues, the classmates and all, they were very much interested about Sudha Murthy going to Pune. Those days it was, Pune was a very famous city, famous for saris and all. So they all gave her money to purchase the saris from Pune. And very, very cheap those days the saris were. Fine. From everyone she collects how much? Can you imagine? It is just 30 rupees which she collects. Okay, 30 rupees for a sari. Can you imagine? So that was the time. And she collects 30 rupees, and then she leaves for the interview. Then. Even before the actual interview started, Sudha Murthy was sure of something. And what was it? She felt, the ambience and the people over there. She felt that they are a bit biased. How? It mentions there in the lesson. Even before the interview started, I reckoned that panel was biased. So I told them rather impolitely, I hope this is only a technical interview. Okay, very clearly, very straightforwardly she tells, I hope this is only a technical interview. And they were also she was a bit rude, and they were also taken aback by her rudeness. And she feels bad rather, about how she behaved there. So the panel, they asked her many technical questions. She was absolutely correct in answering all of them. She answered all the questions correctly. And then there was an elderly gentleman there, and he rose up and he asked her, a question. Do you know? So this question is also very important. Do you know why we said lady candidates need not apply? The very question, the very statement which prompted Sudha Murthy to apply here, the same question was asked by that elderly gentleman. He asked, do you know why we said lady candidates need not apply? Okay, and then he himself answers it too. He says the reason is that we have never employed any ladies on the shop floor. This is not a co-ed college, this is a factory. When it comes to academics, you are a first ranker throughout. We appreciate that, but people like you should work in research laboratories. So that was a suggestion. Generally, shop floor will, those were the days actually when ladies were not working there. It was only the male people, they only used to work, because there are things we will come across in the lesson further. So it was a quite long interview, okay, and after that she was informed that she is successful. That means she has been selected. Okay, what happened with that research laboratories? The elderly gentleman had suggested that you better work in the research laboratories, but then Sudha Murthy's answer was very clear. She said, someone has to start, sir. Someone someday has to start. And the result is what we witness now. We see now that every office, almost every sector, be it a primary, secondary, tertiary sector, any office, we find equal number of women working over there. And the initiation was taken by Sudha Murthy there. If she had just overlooked the advertisement which was given, you can imagine what the situation would have been. Okay, so moving ahead, then so she started her job. It was in Pune, and she never had thought that she would actually work somewhere. And there after the city itself, the job and the city changed her life totally. How she met. She met her husband there, okay, and they became good friends, and they got married also. But then still the relevance, or still the connectivity between the photographs which were hanging on the wall of Sudha Murthy's office, and how things are moving ahead is not very clear. Okay, let's understand that. When she joined Telco, okay, then she understood who JRD was at the first place, right? So the uncrowned king of Indian industry, okay. She was scared to meet JRD actually, because she had so abruptly and so directly she had written the letter without even knowing who the person is, to whom she is writing, what the position is. She was so bold in writing. Now, when she had never faced him, she was a little nervous because she was, now that she was actually working in JRD's company. So she never had a chance to meet JRD actually until she was at Pune. Now, when she was transferred to Bombay, and then the chairman, one day, Mr. Mulgaonkar, the chairman of the Tata Group, he was also called as SM, the Sumant Mulgaonkar, and he was like talking to Sudha Murthy, and suddenly JRD walks in. Suddenly JRD walks into the office, and people were so affectionate towards JRD that they used to call him Apro JRD. Apro means our. Apro means who's a person who's near to you. So everybody there used to call him very fondly as Apro JRD. Apro means our in Gujarati. That was the affectionate term by which people at the Bombay house called him. Okay, so now, but then the real tension was arising. Sudha Murthy was feeling nervous because of two things. One, because of the letter which she has written. Second, because she had never met JRD before. After all the letter and the selection and the beginning of her job. So now she was feeling very nervous, remembering the postcard episode, as we all know. And Sumant Mulgaonkar introduced to her, to JRD, that what his close associates called him. This young woman is an engineer, that too a postgraduate. She is the first woman to work on telco shop floor. JRD was very much proud of, feeling very proud that yes, there is some lady who has taken the initiative and who has really started working on the shop floor. But then Sudha Murthy was praying that JRD should not ask him any questions related to the postcard episode. There was a chance. This was the correct situation, in fact, wherein JRD could have asked about How can you write a postcard to the chairman? But then it did not happen that way. He didn't ask. In fact, when that day, when Sudha Murthy was waiting, office was over, and she was waiting. It was almost dark, and there was darkness in the corridor also. And JRD was, and he came. He was almost leaving, and he came, and he asked, "Why are you waiting? What for you waiting?" That incident here is not mentioned in the. No, it's Mrs. Kulkarni, he used to call her. Okay, so why are you waiting here, sir? I'm no, that was too dark, and he was really worried about how a lady is going to manage, because those are not the days when transport would be available so easily. So and the most important thing, he was waiting till Sudha Murthy's husband came and picked her up, along with the warning that next time you ask him to come and pick you up on time. With that warning, so that shows how kind he was. That shows how kind JRD Tata was. And years passed, and one fine day, Sudha Murthy, she handed over the letter, the resignation, to JRD. Okay, he obviously asked, what for this is? Why? I mean, where are you going? Okay, that's a very common thought which comes when you hand over the, letter or the resignation part. And then she says, Pune. You understand, she started a job with Pune, she was transferred to Mumbai, now she's again coming back to Pune. Why? JRD asked her, why? What for? Then she says, my husband is starting a company called Infosys. And I'm shifting to Pune. Obviously, when Narayan Murthy is starting, her husband, Infosys, we all know Infosys belongs to Narayan Murthy. So she has to join him in always, and she said, I'm going. Then JRD is very happy about it. Oh, and what will you do? What you will do when you are successful? Obviously, he is very inquisitive about what will you do when you are successful. But then look at the answer. Okay, answer Sudha Murthy gave. Sir, I don't know whether we will be successful. I don't know whether we will be successful. Now, look at the statement. Okay. Reply from JRD was, never start with diffidence. Okay. He advised me, always start with confidence. See, when it is a startup, nobody knows whether it will be successful or not. But then, what JRD tells Sudha Murthy is that never start with a diffidence. Always be confident. Always start with on a very confident note. Always start. When you are successful, you must give back to the society. Society gives us so much. We must reciprocate. I wish you all the best. So, it is never that, you give to the society and society never returns back. Yes, whatever you do, you give to the society, and you be sure that the society will also return it back to you, where the words of wisdom by JRD, when he wished her all the best. Then JRD continued walking up the stairs. I stood there for what seemed like a millennium. That was the last time I saw him alive. So after that he expired, and then Ratan Tata took up. Many years later, I met Ratan Tata in the same Bombay office, occupying the chair JRD once did. I told him of my many sweet memories of working with telco. Later, he wrote to me, it was nice listening about Jay from you. The sad part is that he is not alive to see you today. So even Ratan Tata feels bad about, because the words of wisdom which was told by JRD had helped Sudha Murthy and the entire team a lot, and the results are what we see now. That's what Ratan Tata feels, that he should have been alive to see the efforts you have taken. I Now these lines, the last 4 to 5 lines of the lesson, are very, very important. I consider now this makes us understand, this tells us why those two photographs of one black and white and the other one in a blue suit matter a lot to Sudhamurthy. I consider JRD a great man because despite being an extremely busy person, he valued one postcard written by a young girl seeking justice. See, on another thinking on another part, or fine, the simple postcard would have gone into the dustbin. The simple postcard would have been torn and thrown off, because for two reasons. One, in spite of mentioning very clearly that lady candidates should not apply, it was Sudha Murthy who applied. Secondly, it was no way concerned, like she was people didn't know how she is and what she is. Still, that small postcard was considered, was valued rather. Fine, and Sudha Murthy got justice. Justice against what? Justice because she had felt she was discriminated. Okay, based on the gender. See, office, such a big office like Tata's, they get thousands of letters. It's not that this small letter. There wasn't any need that this small letter should have been valued at all. But still, this was valued. Still, this was valued. He respected the intentions of that unknown girl who had neither influence nor money and gave her an opportunity in his company. Again, a very important line to be noted, to be understood, to be registered. Fine. He could have thrown mine away, but he didn't do that. The letter, he could have thrown it, but he respected the intentions of that unknown girl. Nobody knew Sudha Murthy at that time. But then, the intentions of her letter, the very reason behind her letter, okay, it was respected. Okay, and moreover, she didn't have that money, nor the influence. I mean, these are all the things which matter when it comes to the selection of a person, when it comes to the job. Fine, but she never had all these. Apart from that, in spite of that, JRD had respected the intentions of Sudha Murthy and given her an opportunity to work in her company. He did not merely give her a job, he changed her life and mindset forever. It is not just the question of a job, it is a question of changing of the mindset of the people, of the masses, of not that it is not just that one girl is selected and it made a big thing, but then the mindset of the people started changing from then and there, and now the result is obvious, the result is very clear. We see women working in all the arenas, in all the aspects of the industry equally. Close to 50% of the students, this is also a part of the small part of the last part of the lesson. Close to 50% of the students in today's engineering colleges are girls, and there are women on the shop floor in many industry segments too. I see these changes and think of JRD. If JRD would not have given her a chance, do you really feel that these changes would have come? No. Or probably it would have taken still more time. If at all time stops and asks me what I want from life, I would say I wish JRD were alive today to see how the company we started has grown. He would have enjoyed it wholeheartedly. That's what Sudha Murthy feels. My love and respect for the house of Tatas remains undiminished by the passage of time. I always looked up to JRD. I saw him as a role model for his simplicity, his generosity, his kindness, and the care he took of his employees. Those blue eyes always reminded me of the sky. They had the same vastness and magnificence. So those blue eyes, were the inspiration. Those valuable words were the inspiration. Thank you all